Good morning. Today is Friday, February 3rd. Getting started a little late today. It's almost 10 to 9, but that's okay. We'll just do the homework for oil, for crude right off the bat, and then we'll look at ES time permitting while we're starting to watch crude. Let's bring up today's news announcements. We had some stuff at 8:30, 9:15. Someone's going to start yapping, and then we have some news coming out of 10. So might be a little bit choppy, 9:45 and 10. Might be a little bit choppy in the morning. People might be waiting to see what the news ends up being. So we'll bear that in mind today in the morning. Let's go and make some adjustments onto our chart from yesterday. So what I'm going to do is here are here is the value area from the day before. So I'm gonna just start shifting these guys. Move this. Hey, buddy, just go get her from your room. Give her nice big hugs and kisses, okay? She's gonna love it. Oh my God, that'll be awesome. So the reason I started late today was because my Maximus, my 5-year-old son, came in the middle of the night to sleep in my bed. And when I woke up this morning, he was still sleeping, and I did not have the heart to wake him up. So, bit of a late start. All right, so here's what we did. We just moved these lines, these large dotted lines, to represent the value area high and low from yesterday. I'm also going to be doing the same right now with overnight low. That's going to get shifted up here. I'm just taking the level that I already had on the chart and adjusting it. Here's my overnight high from before. Slide this down. Let's get current. All right, let's also take a look at what trading looked like overnight. Yesterday's close, inventory is net long. Certainly we've come off the high from overnight, but inventory is net long from overnight. And we are currently opening inside the value from yesterday's regular trading hour session, right? These two large dotted blue lines also happen to be opening inside the value of the overnight session. So let's go over to our homework chart, our hourly chart here. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay. And let's see if there are any particular lines that we feel need to come off the chart from yesterday. This VPOC here is a little interesting because we go above it, right? We create a candle above it. We then trade below it. So we a wick below it, close above it. We trade below it, and then again wick, and it really holds its resistance here. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna leave this on the chart for now. Everything else on here stays. The swing yesterday got held, so we're not going to pull that off. I'm going to add the swings from yesterday's high and low. And so we got one here. We got one here. And that's going to bring us to our hypotheses. All right. So again, let's take a look at what we're currently trading. We are currently trading at 53.77. So let's give ourselves a little marker there. All right, let's take a look. So because of the fact that we're closing in balance of what looks like a balanced day, meaning the profile is fairly, it's wide in the middle, tails off towards the ends. People talk about weak highs and weak lows, and I'm not 100% sure really what those mean. I mean, that's not true. I know what they mean. I'm not 100% sure how to spot them, so that's not something yet I have in my repertoire. But anyhow, so we have an opening right around here, right around yesterday's VPOC. So we're going to be the two initial expectations are just going to be this, open, chop around, test value area high, see if that fails. If it does, we expect to test value area low. See which side's going to fail first to test the extreme. Okay, overnight high, overnight low, and then we have daily low, daily high. So that's really that's a whole bunch of hypotheses in one. So I'm going to redraw that. So we'll start with number one. So we're going to open, chop around, come test yesterday's value area high, see if that holds. If it does, we expect to come back down, test yesterday's value area low. That's going to be expectation number one. Expectation number two is going to be open, chop, test value area high. It breaks, test overnight high. It breaks, then test yesterday's high, and we stay within stay within the range. Come back to yesterday's VPOC. That's expectation number two. Expectation number three is open, fail at VPOC of yesterday, come down, test value area low. This holds, turn back up, test value area high. Okay, that's number three. And then number four is going to be open, fail yesterday's VPOC, or make an initial move down, test value area low, break, test overnight low, break, test yesterday's low, hold, come up towards VPOC. Now, these are all four expectations that we're looking for the day to stay within yesterday's range. Now, if we get to the low of yesterday or the high of yesterday and we break, now we're starting to look at some expectations that are going to be, here is a swing on this side, here is, looks like a combination of levels here. And then we're just going to kind of start watching those levels and the dynamic levels that had occurred in the day at that point, the middle of the day, the VWAP, the moving average, potentially the initial balance, the opening range. All these things come into play at that point when we've moved, if we've moved that far and we actually break the extremes of yesterday. So let's bring this over here. Move this chart and come what time we have. All right, nicely done. That was not bad at all. Okay. I've been trying this new software to allow me to stream this meeting to YouTube, but every time I go and I test and I play it back, the audio is just horrible. So I record the sessions on TeamViewer and then I post them on YouTube later in the day. But I'd love to find a way to to get it on YouTube immediately. I know there's a 30-second delay, but still, just so it's on there as soon as I'm done with the morning hour, it's on there, and anybody that wants to can look at it. Not that anybody really should or shouldn't want to. That's up to them. But I know I can do it with Google Hangouts, but that you're limited to the quality you could put out to 720p. With my TeamViewer meeting, it's a step above that. It's 10. So it's a much, it's a higher quality. All right, let's look at a potential opening of the day trade here. So we can see that we are just stuck inside overnight value, inside yesterday's value, right at yesterday's VPOC. So what I'm going to be looking for is going to be the first move towards the outside of even overnight value, but more particularly the outside of yesterday's value. I'm looking for moves towards there with an opportunity to try to fade that move. Where is yesterday's high of day? So yesterday's high is way up there. Okay. Couple seconds. Couple seconds to the open. So here comes our drive down. Didn't quite get to the lower value from overnight. Didn't get to yesterday's value area low. Still potentially looking at this for a fade. I might be a little late on that one, but let's see. You know, really tight range. If you look, this whole screen right now is showing from 53.90-ish. Okay, here we go. Here we come down towards yesterday's value. Ooh, look at that, run away from there. Darn it. That happened quick. Okay, here it is again. Busted right through it. Busted right through it. Okay. Look at how much volume just came in that snap down there. So I am looking for a long here, not because of BBs. This is not one of our typical trades. Okay, this is just a trade from the open. In fact, I'm going to take my 3 contracts here. What's my low here? 52. Okay, let's separate these out a little bit. Okay, so still going to look for my first profit target at 10 ticks here. And what I'm looking for, if this is to work, I shouldn't say work. If this is going to do what it is that I'm expecting, at the least we're going to come and test this VPOC up here. Now let's start talking about, because we have to also pretend we weren't in a trade right now as far as watching the chart, trying to determine what we're going to do based on the next price action. So we've had our spike down. We've come to a microcomposite VPOC, absolutely a level we want to be paying attention to. You know, I'm strongly considering moving my stop out here below overnight low. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So we've come down to this microcomposite VPOC, strong push down. So let's say we bounce up, even if we don't get to our 10 tick profit target in this, if we get a bounce up here and we start consolidating, you know, what's going to start happening is those BBs are going to potentially start creating divergence. And when that happens, we are going to be looking at a long with a retest of this microcomposite VPOC. So this initial move, the quick entry that we just saw, does not come from our standard trading guidelines. Okay, this is an opening of day move that we're testing, we're trying out. As this potentially consolidates here, and we create if we create divergence in the BBs, then we're starting to look for a potential long at pretty much at the same point. But now it's because we do have price action and we do have our indicator pointing us in the same direction. I really, really do want to come below. In fact, I will come below overnight low. Overnight low is what, 44? Okay, it's a little more risk than I would want in the trade. So you know what? I can't do that. I can't do that. I have to. I have to remember to treat these over. I have to remember these opening trades to be treated differently. You know, so I don't want to confuse this with don't want to confuse this with the same type of trading, same type of action that we look for with our BBs and so on. You know, if let's just say that this were a traditional setup for us, okay, where we started having divergence down here and so on, then what we would start looking for would have been a scale in to stretch from just above market composite VPOC to just above overnight low, and then our stop would be below overnight low. Okay, so that one didn't work out. So now we're going to start watching for potential setups. Again, overnight low, very very important area for us. We're going to pay attention to see what happens down here. The reverse here, the trade where you get a push open like this quick snapback, you know, that which gets retested. You could have looked at that as a short. It's a little not because of my expectation of today, because of the expectation of staying within yesterday's value. That's why I wasn't looking. That's why I wasn't looking for that short there. But that's another thing we should start watching for at that opening of the day. You know, move down or up, whatever direction. Quick retracement, like we saw here. Slight consolidation, but you know, tell you the truth, that's really it's that to me is hit or miss. We went long at the bottom end of the consolidation versus going short at the top end of the consolidation. In this particular case, it went down, but you know, we can probably go back and find, you know, hundreds of scenarios where this exact setup happened and then we came right back up. So okay, let's see what happens from here. In the meantime, so we are at a price point that we're going to be taking a lot of interest in. We're also going to be looking for potential retracement here, and maybe looking for a short if we get one. So just keep pushing down. We're coming testing yesterday's low. You know, so all this volume that came in down here, that could have been a nice sign. That could have been a nice sign of pressure to the downside. You know, when we snapped through here and there was so much volume that came in with it. That does tend to mean, we saw that another day recently, but that does tend to mean a continuation. So you can see same thing here. This lots of volume down here right now. Here's your low volume node separating these two distributions. You know, you can see the volume. Wait a minute, is my pen not working again? Oh. Get that. All right, so distribution. That low volume node separates the two of them right there, so that very well could act as resistance on the way up here. Looking to see if we form any Oh, wait a minute. Hey, now. That's better. Looking to see if we form any divergence. Right now, everything is still pointing down. Let's take a look real quick at what happened in ES yesterday. So if you remember, when we started with ES yesterday, we were talking about looking to see if this value area was going to hold. We actually, if I remember right, we took a, did we go short or we went long? I don't remember, but sorry, I'm getting old. Let me just leave this there. Switch this now to this. Okay. So we came in at the open, made our way down. I think we scaled in on the way down. We scaled in on the way down, looking for a pushback up to value area high of yesterday, and certainly that is what we got. We were out of our trade fairly quickly. Did well on it. Never re-entered. Definitely did have an opportunity to get into more. Certainly had a good opportunity to get into more contracts here on this pullback if you chose to. Not great divergence at that point, so that might have been cause for hesitation. Then we get above the value area low of the prior day, and we come and we test VPOC. VPOC holds for a little bit, pull back to value area low. Here's actually another nice, decent trade opportunity right there. Could be actually at either one. You know, this quick pullback here might not be a big enough pullback for my taste, but second test of it down here, that is a nice one where we come and we break through VPOC, form a version of a head and shoulders, but that's really more of a harmonic head and shoulders. You know, this, you would expect this to kind of come down here, and it does a little bit, but not that not great. And then we finally test value area high from the day before, which is ultimately what we were expecting. We come further by quite a bit. Never quite reached this swing over there, and just kind of turn right around. I don't really see a good trade entry there. I don't see a reason for a trade entry there. Still watching oil, by the way. You know, right now it's just sitting in this consolidation. Nothing. I am interested maybe in trying to find the short here. Let me stretch this out to make it so that we don't react. I am potentially looking to try to find a short as in this move up here. The 610 has bounced up pretty well. 987 and 1597 have not followed suit. We're going to take our first here. We're going to be scaling up a bit. You know, we're going to go at least to middle of the day, probably even higher, like towards the top of this consolidation area here. So let's get this. While we're only in one contract, we're going to move this out of the way. So let's see here. Where might we try to add? So we're in at what are we in at? 51. Really want our stop to be above 60. So let's do 55. You know, kind of middle of this consolidation here. Let's go to the top of this consolidation here, and then we'll adjust stops from there. Okay. Now let's look at our profit target. Kind of have to take yesterday's low as a profit target here. So we'll do a 37. You know, we can come all the way up to 45. That'll be our 10 tick profit target. But since we're only in the one contract and we don't yet have divergence off the bottom here, it wouldn't be all that surprising to see another move down and make that, you know, extend this range and try to touch yesterday's low. Depending on how it happens, I might even move that further away. But if we don't, you know, if we see it come down and we get towards the current low of day and we slow down and we see the BB start, you know, kind of changing and looking a little bit more positive, you know, like the 987 has turned up there. 610 certainly is showing that we're probably going. Well, we might get divergence with the with the pushback down. We'd have to see what that looks like when we get there. But we may change we may change our profit target if that were to happen. Certainly, if we get scaled in, we are going to at least put one of our contracts to get out of 10 ticks of what becomes our average price. Right now, our price is 53.51. All right, so our average price now is 53.53. So we are going to put a stop there. I'm sorry, profit target at 43. Let's condense these stops. So 64. Okay, good. Very good. Let's go back, take a look at what continued happening in S&P yesterday. So I think I'm a little ahead of myself. Oh, here we go. So we made this, we pushed all the way up, failed to get to this swing, and then it turned down. And I didn't. I'm looking at it now, and I don't really see a trade entry. Maybe this little spike up here might have given you a trade entry because you have really nice divergence at that point. In the short term chart, in the 1597, and you start getting divergence into 2584 by the time you get this move back. So that maybe I can't say that one for sure. And then ultimately we come back down and we get through this value area high of that we had on the chart. We kind of hover around there, and then we start pushing our way back down. And of course, we go to value area low from the day before, and we go back to value area high, back to value area low. I mean, so the expectation of yesterday staying within that value area worked for the majority of the time. That was really nice, really nice trading. Now, for trade opportunity in there, maybe when you get to this consolidation here at this value area high, maybe you look to trade if we break out pullback, which we don't really get. Same thing here. When you get to this bottom here, you don't really have divergence to trade down here. You do have the slowdown, which happens on both sides. It slows down here, it slows down here. You do have that slowdown in price to maybe give you a trigger. You could take a trade off of the strong bullish bar here if you wanted to. Then you get again, we get the value area high. Now I think just from looking at the price action, I think we're going to see a setup here, and not fully. So from here, from this high to this high, you'll see the BB still pushed higher. So I don't think I would have been looking to get a short there. I would have most likely I would have missed this one, even though it ultimately sets up real nice and makes the move that we would hope. And now we're going to see, do we get some down here? So here on the bottom, same thing. You don't really get a great setup from the BBs. You do get a nice head and shoulder setup right here. To draw it out for you, you get your move down, bounce back up, move to an extreme, bounce back up, test down, and head up. So this. Oops, sorry. Got the little line there. Make it a little more obvious. This congestion here, when you push down, this is your shoulder, you come away, here's your neck going further down, come back up, and then you retest this shoulder with this little pullback here. This actually does set up there for a decent trade opportunity. And that's pretty much it. So looks like we're going to be able to watch the S&P do the same type of trades we're doing in oil. I do, you know what? Let me set up, if you remember yesterday when I was getting into that trade that we made, I was fumbling around quite a bit because I didn't have, the way I use the order entries, I didn't have it set up properly. So now I'm going to create one just for the ES. And I'll again, when we get to the point when you guys are ready to really go live, I will be happy to go over this stuff in more detail. But for now we don't need to worry about it. Okay. Okay, so what I just want to make sure of is that this remained the same. All right. Now if I switch over to my ES, beautiful. Okay. So let's see. I mean, right now we really don't have much cooking here, so let me slide this out of the way. I will keep an eye on it. I'm also going to bring in the ES. And let's take you know what, sorry, let's start by moving our lines from yesterday. I guess we'll do it on that chart too. Yeah, let's do it. Probably better. All right, so we're going to want to adjust this value area to now cover yesterday's, this value area, okay. Bring the pot up here. All right, so now we're also going to, let me see here, I gotta get rid of these numbers. I think that's all the way back here. Okay. Oil still just sitting right here. Okay, so we're gonna extend the microcomposite profile to include yesterday. All right, so you could see we have a lot of congestion up here where we are. Let's make this look a little bit more normal. Okay, a lot of congestion where we ended up stopping, where we ended up closing yesterday. Closed at the VPOC very close, or I should say closer to high of day than low of day. Definitely skewed upwards. We do have what looks to be, you know, I'm going to make these a little bigger. Give us a little bit better view of those volume profiles. This might take a minute to load because this chart, the homework chart, the 60-minute chart, brings in a year's worth of data so that we can have that composite profile, which is the white outline all the way on the right-hand side of the chart. You'll see it in just a second. So this is bringing in a year's worth of data. All my other charts are only bringing in 20 days worth of data because honestly, I don't have to go back that far with what I'm looking at on those other charts. So we're getting close to potentially getting scaled into the next contract in oil. You see oil's come up right underneath this value area here from yesterday. So I'd like to, if we're getting that close, I'd rather just get scaled in, tell you the truth. But but that's okay. I will be patient. I don't want to just move my entry down. So okay, I'll let you know if we get scaled in there. Also with the ES, we should draw, get that out of the way. Let's draw in the overnight high and overnight low from yesterday, and so we're sitting at overnight high now. So I'm gonna bring this one up. There's a better than average chance this is going to change before the open, just based on what it's doing right now. And we'll move overnight low right there. Okay. Let's bring back again the homework chart. Okay, all right, so we've just been scaled in on oil. We just got filled our third contract. Let's take a look at what our average price is. 55, 65. Gonna look to get out of one here. I'm sorry, gonna look to put a profit target down there at 10 ticks. We're gonna do that for two of them. Although right now we are having some trouble. Okay, so I'll move it off to the side. I'll let you know if anything happens there. Let's go back to crude. I'm sorry, to ES. Okay, so we are currently trading at this high here. Okay, we are way gapped up. I use that word way maybe a little bit too freely. Oh, this is a pretty good one. I mean, this is what, 79. Yesterday's. Oh, let's draw in swings on yesterday high and low. Let's see here. Let's come in and draw swing high from yesterday, swing low from yesterday. Oh, sorry. Let me change this too. This is nice. And this one should be thicker. Okay, so now we have the yesterday's high, yesterday's low drawn in, overnight high, overnight low, and all the volume profile areas drawn in as needed. Okay, let's take a look at expectation. With the gap as high as we're forming here, we're going to start watching for, an opening pullback into some of these levels here. Okay, this area here. We're going to see if this holds. If this holds, we're going to look for a turn back up, and we're going to look to see if we get back into the micro composite. That's right here from these 3 days. If I remember right, that's where that one comes from. We're also then going to be watching for moves up to point of controls from those days. So a hold in these areas, if we get a pullback at the open and we see that pullback hold, especially if it holds above yesterday's high, we're looking for a push back up. That's going to be expectation number one. Expectation number two is going to be a drive right off the open, test this microcomposite VPOC, fail, pull down, and we're going to be very careful to see what happens at this overnight high, whatever that number actually is at the time we open. And if we fail there, then we're going to look to see if we can't close the gap towards yesterday's high right here. That's going to be expectation number two. That's all I'm going to do right now for this one, only because we're getting fairly close to the open, and I would like to be a little bit more prepared to trade that. So let me just put my charts back where they belong. So this trade in oil is certainly not looking like it's going our way anytime soon here. Reasonable idea. We have a push down, tested the overnight low, have a nice move back up all the way to the middle of the day, scaled in, all the way up to it. We certainly have formed we won't know what the BBs would look like if we make our way back down. It's hard to say if we would have divergence or not. Those 610, the 610 BBs react very quickly to price action. So, there's no way to tell you what that will look like if it gets there. We're about to get to 930, so we'll see if that has any effect. We'll see if there's any little price bump, price action on crude at the market open. But let's see if we can get back in below that value area level on crude oil. Make our way towards testing low of day one more time. Opening of the day trade for ES. Man, that's I don't have a good one for you. I don't have a good one for you. I don't want to short, if we push up at the open, let's say towards this area here, I don't want to just take a short. This is such a big gap from yesterday's high, 7 points or so. It's a decent gap in the S&P. I don't want to just short of, you know, if we have an opening drive towards the top side, I don't want to just take a short there. Let's see what we get. There's a very good chance we won't do any, you know, trade for opening of the day, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so Hive overnight actually shifted up a little bit right before the open. We'll see what comes of that. We also had a little bit of a pushback down here. Not crazy about this oil coming and testing VWAP and yesterday's close and it holding the way it just did. That's not a very exciting thing for me to see there. That might be the end of this trade. All right, so let's keep looking. Let's keep looking to see what we're expecting next. S&P opened, really sticking near the overnight high. No real move into the gap. I'll have to find a way to get rid of some of this congestion with this text. So I told him to. No, he didn't wave me up at all. Sorry, guys. I'm talking to my wife about Maximus. All right, so let's say a little bit of distance there, and then I'm going to go in and try to spread out some of this text. So still, you know, because we've just started watching ES, I still got some settings I want to adjust on the screen for us. At this point, I'm just waiting to hear the software tell me we're stopped out of oil. Okay, so let's see. So that'll be 15. Oh, ES is, hang on now. ES has pushed its way down here a bit. We're looking for down here. We're looking to see if we can get a push down into these levels, you know, where we get where we've gotten our part of our retracement of the gap. Okay, so let me see. We need all these. We need all these. Oh, good. Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna go change one of these. So this one was 15, and we did 50. We're gonna make it 75. 125. Crude's making its way down here. Let's see if we can't break. It's really want to see this get below this VWAP and yesterday's close. I really, this is starting to potentially form the bottom of the channel here. I don't want to see it keep coming all the way up to the top here. I want to see this channel shift its way down, start making its way down. Okay, ES came right to overnight VPOC. You can see here, this overnight VPOC was naked. It just got touched over there. ES going down would certainly, potentially, I should say, bode well for oil to do the same. Getting really close to closing out this oil trade. I want to see. So S&P turned up. There is one other piece of information I want to add on this chart. You guys have heard me talk about volume on the bid, volume on the ask. You guys have heard me discuss that, and I've never put it on the chart to show us. I think I am going to, well, one thing I think I'm going to do right now is I'm going to close out of this oil trade. Oh, yeah, I'm out. Small loss, 2 ticks. That's fine. I just don't like how this VWAP has held so many times. VWAP yesterday's close held so many times. I just don't like it. If if I closed it prematurely, so be it. But are you kidding me? All right. So we'll see ultimately what happens. What happens with that trade? Let me also now turn this back on. Okay. So yes, open. We pushed our way down to overnight VPOC. Filled a little bit of that gap, but we are still sitting at the upper end of the overnight trading. Excuse me. We're watching to see if we come back towards the current high of day. We could see we started forming divergence immediately on the BBs. We still have that news release coming out at 10 o'clock. Oil has come down below the VWAP. Oh, that's gonna suck. That's gonna absolutely suck if that starts making its way down. But anyhow, turned it into pretty much a break-even trade. It was against us pretty good for a while. That's where the scale in comes into play. We scaled into this trade, which allowed us to get a better average entry, which allowed us to have our stop a little bit higher. If we took the entire position at any of those levels on the way up, any of the earlier levels, if we took the entire position, that we would have been stopped out at our 10 tick stop loss. By scaling into it, it allowed us to turn it into at least a pretty close to break-even trade, not not a winner, but close to a break-even trade because of that. So let's see what's going on in ES here. Strong downward look to those BBs, right off the open. Overall, though, you look at that 4181, that's definitely an uptrending picture on those BBs. Oh, in the long run, going all the way back to yesterday. see so far, oil has continued to hold this area here. Both of them now, S&P and oil, just kind of standing still. Really, I tell you, I really didn't see any trade at that opening push there in oil, and part of it was like I was saying, I was expecting this value area to hold us in. Maybe in hindsight, this strong bearish candle here busting through it at these retests really could have given us a pretty good clue. Yeah, actually, that is true. Okay, well, we can keep an eye on that. I'm gonna try to remember that. I'm gonna try to remember those, because no, this is something that I've talked about before. When you bust through a level like this, the initial expectation is that level is going to hold when you test it from the opposite direction. So if we bust through this going down, the expectation is this level is going to hold when we come back up to test it. Also, notice how accurately these levels tend to play out. These are, you guys see, these are plotted before we ever opened today. These are plotted before this price action took place. Even here, what are you talking about? You're talking about being within 4 ticks from this level at a reversal. You're talking about a reversal almost to the tick. This microcomposite VPOC here. Now again, this had been broken a few times here and there. So it's not that this level is always accurate, which is why we use other context for our trading. But when you're looking at these things, when you're coming towards them and you're creating setups, like right here, we have a swing on this on the ES here. We have this swing level here with all these bottoms. The reason I'm not looking to go long here is because look at the BBs. Everything is pointing down. I'm I'm almost looking. So yes, you got a high, you got a low, lower high, lower low. The makings of a potential downtrend. Still just a little bit concerned that we haven't come further down into the gap. At this point, I am going to start watching for a short here in the S&P. It would have to be. I don't think I'm going to start looking to scale in until the current VPOC, 2286 and a quarter. My only concern is that this gap here. All right, so here we took our context. We looked, we came to a level the first time. That level held, not enough in there for us to want to take a trade. We come back a second time. We have real negative strength on the BBs. So even though this is a level, we're staying away from it right now because of the context. Well, came back up to this value area here, turned back down. What, baby? Oh my gosh. You're so silly. So oil's really stuck in this range. Now, I certainly with the ES, again, if you remember, one of the things we were looking at is a move down into these levels here. Now, I'm not just going to put bids out here. I'm not just going to put orders out there to buy. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see ES actually get to that zone and give us some price action to look at. Might have just missed it. If I was saying I'm maybe looking to get into another short here in oil, might have just missed that. There, basically the idea would have been to scale. So we'll see if this is the push. Regardless of where this goes, I'm certainly no longer disappointed or would be upset if it went in my favor from the original trade. I've had the chance to get back into it, but I didn't. So I'm actually happy that I got out when I did. I could have gotten back in at a better price point. So that for me is okay. Really coiling up here. Time we got 9:45. All right, so if we don't see something happen fairly soon, I am going to call it a little bit early today. I have a lot of running around I have to do. I like this. I like this tick setting better with the S&P. It's more active, more fluid. So here's oil again, coming right back up to this 58, 59, 60 area. Certainly don't want to get caught over trading. I don't want to start just throwing. ES still pushing down. Okay, well, broke out of that little tight channel there. We're still inside this bigger channel, or I should say higher channel. It's not bigger, it's higher. Now on the ES, I'm watching for a couple things right now. Number one, pullbacks. I'm watching for a pullback. I would start being willing to get short right around this swing. In fact, I'm going to put an offer in here. Oh, I might have just missed that actually. Come on. Come on. I will not be thrilled if I don't get that fill there. So that's going to be, all right, so we're in 84.75. We're going to look maybe, basically I'm looking to get my stop above here. So that's going to be 88. So we're going to give ourselves 80 point and a half, 45. So what just happened? Oh, it's doing that shit where it fills me when it's not supposed to. Oh gosh, that's going to suck. Okay, so 84.75 was the first entry. I'm going to be looking for another entry right around 85.75. All right, so that sucks that it's going to start doing this. And I'm going to look for a third at 86.75. So I just want to kind of put it out there so I have a record of it for myself when I go back and I review these, which I will ultimately do. So right now we're in 184.75, looking to scale in. First profit target here. If I stay in only one, my first profit target is going to be down at 81. Let's call it 82 would be my first profit target. Let me I'll draw that in. Oh boy. All right, so that there's no I can't do it like that. Let me just put text on here. First target 82. Now understand, please, if we get scaled in, this is going to change. Okay. right now, that's my first profit target based on having only one contract. All right. That absolutely will change if we get into a second contract. Then what I would do is I would take whatever the average price is at that point, which would be 84 quarter. Right now we're in at 80. I'm sorry, which would be 85 quarter. If we get into a second contract, then my first profit target becomes 83 quarter, 8 ticks. Okay, so we from 85 quarter to 83 quarter. If we get scaled in, into a third contract, then again I would be adjusting my first target. Now, where I would put my other targets if we get into a second and third, for now, let's just assume I'm going to leave it there at 82 for at least one of them. And depending on how the BBs had set up, I would either close 2 of them at the 8-tick profit target, or I would spread out the other ones. I don't think I'd have any profit target outside these levels. I'm expecting these levels to hold when we come to them. So, I might spread them out a bit throughout these levels. I'd leave one target here at 82, and then maybe I'd come to the bottom of this 79.75 and put a target at 80 and a quarter. But that I would have to be in all 3 of my contracts at that point, and the BBs would have to look right in order for that to be the case. Okay, so that's it. That's my marching orders at that point. Also, as we average into this trade, our stop would be 8 ticks. Sorry. When we get into our 2 contracts and our average price is 85 quarter, we're willing to risk. Excuse me, got a yawn. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're willing to risk $150 per contract, since we're in 2 contracts, willing to get to our $300 maximum risk. So what that would mean is 10. Every 4 ticks is 50. 8 is 100. So 12 ticks. Sorry, kind of drew a blank there. We would have a 12-tick stop loss with 2 contracts, and it would come down to an 8-tick stop loss when we get into our 3 contracts. Am I saying this right? Every 4. Yeah, okay, that's right. So what that means is if we get scaled in to a second contract, our average entry is 85 and a quarter. We're going to have our out at 88 and a quarter. If we get into our third contract, which we will be coming in at 86 and 3/4, that's probably going to put our average price at just about 86-ish. That would move our stop at that point to 88. We'd have 3 contracts, 2-point stop, creating that $300 maximum risk. Or really making it difficult to kind of see where it wants to go. We get above this here, I think we're going to see a quick spike, like a little stop run. I'm sure that we have a lot of people that have gotten short in this area and that have put their stop loss just above that high. So if it comes up above there, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people closing out their trades. Probably have a lot of people also looking to go long in that case, seeing if it breaks above this area. Shoot for a long. All right, guys, I am going to call it a morning at this point. If, as usual, if there's any questions, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, comment on the video if you happen to take a look at it on Facebook. But however you want, this way I'll know what it is you guys want me to talk about, and I'll do my best to bring it up in one of the next sessions. All right, so pretty much a flat day. Didn't really have anything going on. Looks like maybe we missed one, but all in all, I'm happy with the patience. I'm happy that I didn't go overboard. So you guys have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.